In these times of uncertainty, it's all the more important that we keep collaborating, informing, and inspiring each other, so that we can be smarter and better tomorrow. Welcome to the Pakhuis de Zwijger livecast.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for joining us. This is the first in our new series, Together Apart, and it's part of a series on creative collaboration brought to you by Pakhuis de Zwijger along with futurefactor. My name is Kerrie Finch, and I'm the founding partner of futurefactor, and we're a communications company who works with all sorts of different brands around the world, and the point is to make them future fit so that they become standout brands in their own right. We're here in order to talk about creative collaboration, and the first in our series is focused on TV and film production. So why are we doing a live cast in the first place? Well, my experience, my personal experience, is that this is not my first rodeo. This is my second pandemic. I seem to collect them. I don't want Ebola virus, so let's stay away from that. But I had swine flu, and now 70% of my European team has had coronavirus. We're all completely fine. We're all healthy. And we were very lucky in that respect. But it's given us, some lessons that we've learned, and some ups and some downs. And as a business owner, that's hugely difficult, and it's inspiring, and it's innovating all at the same time. And we wanted to put that into positive action because we want to collaborate, and that's what we do with our clients. But it's also what we do with our creative community, which is hugely important to us. So we're here today to kick off our Together Apart series, to talk with our guests. And this is how the live cast works. So we want to encourage questions from the audience, from you folks out there. We're part of a community. It's about collaboration. Please click on your chat button through Zoom, and you can send us questions, and I'll try and go through and field as many as we can and ask them of our guests today. We have 3 guests. I'm really delighted to be able to introduce to you 2 folks in the studio. We're appropriately distanced. So I may have already had coronavirus. You 2 haven't. Who knows if I can get it again? With my luck, I'm sure it'll come around one more time. Who can say? But we have in the audience, in our studio, Vivian Opsteeg, and you head up the film and content division for Media Monks, but you also founded Girls in Film here in the Netherlands. So I'd love to talk to you about both of that. Also, we have Olaf van Gerwen, and he's the founder of Chuck Studios, which is a production company focused specifically on food and beverages. You basically just eat and drink all day. That's for a living. Yep. Loving it, loving your style. And you've recently set up offices, not just, of course, you've been in Amsterdam for a number of years now, but also in Moscow and London. So you've got quite a bit of...
And Los Angeles.
Get you with your 4 offices. You win. And also beaming in from Zoom, we have Margot Mars, and you run a production company in London called Leaf, and you're also you're on the big screen.
Yeah, I'm so big.
I'm loving just how big your hands can actually be. So you're part of also Free the Work, which is an international network. So thank you, all 3 of you, for joining. And Vivian, let's start with you. What made you want to come on a live chat such as this, which is about creative collaboration?
Well, I think at the moment, because of the situation that we're in, the speed with which we're collaborating and have to collaborate with different, from my example, for Media Monks, with different offices in the world, with different teams. We have to collaborate with directors. We have to collaborate with audiences. We have to collaborate more with cast in different ways. So the collaboration, it's changed so much. And I think it's super interesting, and I think it really speeds up the way that we work also and will work in the future. So that to me it's super interesting what's happening now. So that's why I really wanted to be here.
Well, production is so heavily influenced, of course.
Yes.
Because the teams often fly in from around the world, and there's so much interaction in a studio. Olaf, how does that work with you as well? What's your experience?
Well, it is first of all, the first experience is that obviously it was a mess because all the jobs were pulled, everything was cancelled, like a clear, close to 100% ratio cancellation. So that hurts deeply. It
hurts deeply.
And then
absolutely
within hours, actually, you kind of, because we're production people, we're practical people, right? So we try to solve things.
Stuff.
Yeah, we fix it, and then we see what is legal and what are the boundaries. What can we still do? And actually, within weeks, I must say, we're up and running more or less. We're not at the speed we were at, but we're doing quite fine. We happen to be in a country where we're still allowed to shoot. In many of our other offices in Moscow and Los Angeles, it's impossible to shoot. It's illegal to gather. In Moscow, it's even illegal to get out of your house. You need like a QR code from a website that continuously crashes. So there is really nothing possible there.
Yeah.
So as a result, we shot a production from Russia in Amsterdam last week. So we change our ways and we see what's left, and we just consider ourselves a bit lucky that we're here and that we're doing the profession that we're doing.
Same here.
And we can still do something.
And Margot, how does it affect you? Because you're based in London.
Yeah, I am. I think it's the same pretty much. I think for me, it's not so much about can I work? Like, of course, we can find ways, but with the briefs coming in, it's more should we? Is it safe? Is it safe for the people around us? Are the conversations just adding to the noise, or are they actually helpful and inspiring? I have to say that I've been spending most of the first weeks at home reflecting, thinking, taking a step back, using this time for focus and really thinking about how can I support when things change so quickly. It's a really scary time, and I think we have an opportunity to really change things, and that's probably why I wanted to join this conversation. I think I'm ready. I'm ready to talk about like the things that I think we can make impact in, and the inventiveness and the thinking that I'm seeing. It's really inspirational.
Because much. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
That's okay. I most of all, for me, it's definitely not so much about what can we can always do something. It's should we do it? Is it helpful?
So you've all spoken about obviously the general process of work has changed, and we're in I hate the phrase new reality, but maybe we're in a hashtag new reality. But I would love to know a bit more about that. I know, and Vivian and also Olaf, you've both brought 2 films along, which is about how you actually work. Maybe we should, if you can talk us through yours and what the differences are.
Yeah, I think what is an interesting thing for us is that we have our own studio for Media Monks in Amsterdam. So we can still do shoots there. And what you see is that you really have to work with smaller crews. Maybe you can show the video of our studio. This is, by the way, the lunch. I love this so much, this
image,
photo.
Isn't it? Such a fabulous image.
So we are still doing some small location.
This is how caterers work.
Yeah, how caterers work. Yeah, so everyone has to bring their own water bottle, and then we all have packaged lunch and food, and this is the way it's been delivered. I think that's really...
And it's on a broom.
Yeah.
So you can eat and then sweep the studio.
Yeah.
From now on, we use brooms.
That's amazing. Brooms are the way forward. Who knew? I bet broom sales have gone through the roof.
Yeah. So that's you really have to be creative and in making it work, and that's what we do. We really look at scripts and how can we maybe rework them a little bit, so that you can actually do the production with a little bit less people.
Yeah.
How can you use techniques to have the client dial in, maybe do remote directing even, of course all these hygienic measurements that you have to take, and it's
Apple spacing.
Yeah.
I didn't know that apples weren't allowed to communicate. Who knew that apples too were in lockdown?
Absolutely. But what we also, as Olaf was saying, after in the first week, the first days, you're like, I cannot do anything. And then you start thinking, okay, how can we make it work? Because I have a team of almost 60 people and, they have to work.
And they're around
at
the world.
At least you'd love them to work. No, they're in Amsterdam.
Oh my God, just in Amsterdam.
Just in Amsterdam, yeah.
That's a lot of team.
Yeah, it is. So for me, I didn't have a lot of time to reflect, but it was mainly in work modus and see what can we do. So less people, shorter days, no overtime because it's much more intense. Maybe a bit take more days. Have a COVID officer on set.
And when you talk about a COVID officer, is that somebody official or you just nominate somebody?
Yeah, we have in the production team we have several people that are like we made our own protocol and they have to make sure that on set everyone sticks to the protocol, but it's quite intense, so you cannot do that for 8 hours.
And if the pandemic police came, you've made your own protocol. If the pandemic police came to your studio, is there such a thing? Does anybody check up on you? How does this work?
For us, no. We haven't had anyone check us, but we basically do the same. We call it a hygiene manager. It's a person who stands in the corner and shouts, "No, you go away there."
Yeah.
Just
those
in case
apples are too close.
Approaching you, somebody's approaching you from behind, and you don't know. Like this is our space, and it's all quite tiny. And usually the collaborative action, you're always close together on a small set.
So let's face it, you're usually not wrapped in so much plastic.
Yeah, in this case, yes.
Oh, okay.
But that has to do with the
again,
effect
bananas.
Bananas
have to isolate too.
Lunch is delivered in boxes, so not
on a broom.
No, we don't do brooms at Chuck Studios.
Margot, do you do brooms in London?
If I need to trash something, definitely. Broom is I'm a witch, so
Oh, here we go. Good to know.
No, but we have to keep space for everyone. Make sure that it's not too many people in the studio. So what our approach is we exchange people for time. Usually the crew would be double. Now effects like this take more time now because reset times, cleanup times, everything takes longer. So, and I was really happy with that we got the shot. Now, usually a shoot could take 2 days and now it takes 3 days. As a result, it could sometimes be a little bit more expensive for the client. But,
see, I was going to think, my response to hearing this is I was going to say, okay, so is it actually cheaper for the client? Because you have less travel, potentially. The client isn't joining you in the studio. Therefore, if they're in Sweden, they have to beam in, they don't fly in. You're saving costs on travel and hotel, of course. Yeah. Or is it that you're spending more time because it's more complicated and therefore, the budget doesn't go quite as far as it needs to?
It varies. Sometimes because you have much less people on set. Yeah. But all the heads are still there. So it's very depending on the job. Sometimes it's more cheap and sometimes it's more expensive, but much of the communication that's being done now is being filmed at home with iPhones. That is obviously cheaper than organizing everything the usual way. So many of the communication assets will be cheaper now, but they are also substantially different in terms of messaging, production value, quality, aesthetic. So it's very dependent.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, I was just talking to Olaf that if you look at a commercial break on Dutch TV now, you have to wait like 30 seconds to find out who the brand is, and they're like almost all of the commercials are the same. So it's much more difficult now to be. relevant.
Is it because we're all stuck? Not we all, because I do see the changes. But the first wave during coronavirus, when the first lockdown came, as we've already commented, everybody kind of froze.
Yeah.
And then it was a thank you to everybody. All brands were thanking their clients, thanking their audiences, and it's like, okay, enough already. We know you're grateful. And now I'm being very flip, but in essence. And so you do get that feeling of, well, who is this?
Yes.
It could be anybody because it's all looking the same.
There's a lot of sameness in this communication because all the brands don't want to be selling now. They want to be sensitive and understanding to their people. And there's one nice compilation that pops up on the internet of a guy who edited all these Corona ads together. And it's just stunning how similar they all are. They all start with dramatic piano music on an empty square. And, we'll be back with you. Yeah. Hold on.
Somebody waving to somebody who's in a window.
Yeah, a little kid in front of a window. Baby in front of a window.
Marco, is this the same in the UK? Are you noticing exactly the same?
I think that's where my initial response of taking some time to reflect came from, because it all blends into one. And although admirable, it's like, is this your story to tell? For certain brands to jump on the bandwagon of like, who are you supporting? And is it helpful? So I've really looked at culture and art more to see what people can create, to see different things. Like if you go onto TikTok, it's incredible, right? The diversity of stuff that normal people, not professionals in video making, are coming up with, and ways to tell little stories and be creative and funny and inspiring. And I find that way more interesting than what I see of most of Adland, unfortunately. I think they're catching up now, though, but definitely the first weeks, all the responses were the same, which then begs the question, why are you doing it?
We've got to thank you for you folks who are sending in questions. Please do click on Zoom in order to send us through chat your questions. We have one from Nick in Amsterdam. Is there anything that's better about the way you guys are working now versus pre-corona? BC and AC, before corona and after corona, basically. And I think that is, really brilliant question, because it will, hopefully there's positivity that's coming out of it.
For me, there's many learnings from this. The way we did the studio is actually the way I would like it, because it's really efficient now, and it's super clean.
Yeah,
so that's
so we gave you the opportunity to innovate because you at the beginning, because you had to.
Yes, it forced me to think about new ways, and we have now the technology to stream the shoot feed to our client, which previously we hadn't organized because it was never necessary, and now it's easy. Just press the button and it's there. Yeah. So technology goes much faster now. Digitization of this process goes much faster. But I also noticed that there's more openness in terms of client relations. Now, we had in the first week of our lockdown, we had one of our clients approach us for a charity that they work together with. And they called us for help on fundraising for the Dutch food banks. And this is something
got a clip of that, I think.
We got a clip of that, yes. If we can play that.
Take a look. I think we can talk over it. I don't think that's what sound.
This is not per se the right one. But anyway, we made a fundraising campaign for the Dutch food banks, in which we, through this crisis... It's this film, actually. Let's take a look at it.
Ja jongens, er is een vreselijk moeilijke tijd aangebroken.
Ook voor de voedselbank.
Wij kunnen namelijk ons werk niet goed meer doen.
Door de huidige omstandigheden is het moeilijker geworden
om voedselpakketten te verstrekken aan onze klanten.
In deze tijd van crisis merken we dat meer mensen onze hulp nu juist extra hard nodig hebben.
Daarom vragen wij u om te doneren.
Alle beetjes helpen.
Geef geld aan de voedselbank.
Stay safe en geef.
Doneren kan via staysafeandgeef.nl.
And you made this within the first couple of days, is that right, of lockdown?
This was, I think, within 48 hours from briefing to film. And that gave a...
And do you usually work that fast?
No, never, ever.
So you can do it?
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. Now, the amount of energy that is released if a charity asks for something and you see the necessity of it, teams align and everyone stops whining about sleep or whatever. Just get it done because we need it done then.
Well, we're in unprecedented times. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's and it really changes things.
Yeah, and Vivian, what's better in terms of the way you work now? How have you innovated?
Well, I think that brands are more open now for creative solutions. So, for example, combining like a studio shoot with a VFX, in post production, combining stuff so that you don't actually need a live action shoot. Those are like, to me, the things of the future and the way we should create content in the future much more. And that's what clients are, they're open for it because they cannot have the big live shoot that they would love to have. And this is, in the background, you see an example of a shoot that we actually relocated. Also, so it was a studio shoot already with the VFX, but then we relocated it to Singapore, where we could shoot.
And why Singapore?
3 weeks ago we were able to do productions there.
No, not now.
Not now. So we're really constantly looking where can we do shoots and where not. And then the client was on a live feed. We did a shoot last Friday where the client was actually in her backyard sipping a glass of wine and approving the photos that we were shooting in our studio.
Was she approving or was she on WhatsApp to her friends?
I don't know.
And is that a good
Both.
thing?
Is it a good
thing?
No, you don't know,
is
but
that
it's
a problem?
Do you want your client to be sitting with a glass of wine, or do you want your client to be focused and on the job?
Yeah, I think a little bit of,
or just
of
happy.
Both. Yeah, just
if the wine makes them happy and they hit approve, then surely that's a good thing.
No, but it's a totally different energy, of course.
Exactly, but to me, I have a digital background and a digital heart, and then I started at Media Monks, and we do a lot of TVCs, and the productions are like insanely big, and to me, they're like, why do we need so many people? Why does it have to be expensive? And why are you only making still one film?
So it's helping you question, in the same way of Olaf, what you actually need, what is going to benefit the client and also the work. Yeah. So that, of course, changes the creative process. And I would be interested, Margot, in hearing from you as well. What's changed for the better for you? This situation has helped you innovate, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. I'm almost saying that the situation is aligning with the innovation that we already strive to. I think that we're getting a much broader understanding as to what storytelling to audiences can be. Embracing social media, brands embracing that differently. Authenticity, like going back to TikTok again, or the use of social media and the user-generated content, new formats of interaction. I love it all because it gives a lot of different people now the ability to talk directly to big audiences, and they're shining, and it's fascinating. So I'm very inspired by it.
And creative collaboration, these changes, will they stay, do you think? Do you think this is going to be the way forward as an improvement for creative collaboration?
I think a lot of it will stay. I also brought a clip from Nike that did a collaboration with an influencer. They cannot do live events at the moment, so what they did was they collaborated with an influencer that was doing an exercise at home that you could participate in. This is not the one. It doesn't matter. It's a Nike one, and they live streamed it to YouTube. So I think those are like really new ways.
That's also not the one.
New ways to collaborate with influencers, to collaborate with your audience, and I think a lot of it will
stay.
Will stay, because you can reach maybe a larger audience in a new way than you just do with one event.
We have a question from. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think these new insights, they will stay, but we will also go back to much older workings, the industry and human beings,
and
they don't change.
Exactly. No. We're very habitual, and those habits are deep grained, aren't they? So it's going to take. This is a big deal. What we're going through right now. This is part of helping us change our patterns, but we do need to change our patterns, of course.
Of course. But we also will get back to things like production value, old-fashioned, good old marketing. That will also come back. It's impossible now.
Not everything's going to be on an iPhone.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope not. But no. What I'm saying is that the messaging will go back to normal. Now, for our clients like ours, is maybe not the time to celebrate a new sauce or a new cheese type or whatever.
Or even a cheesy sauce.
Yeah, or now is more the time to talk about availability or food safety or whatever. So the messaging is completely different. Yeah. But over time, it will go back to normal, I assume.
So brands are at the moment taking the opportunity to pivot themselves.
Well, they're finding their voice amidst this shit. Yeah. And you don't want to be frivolous or naive in this time.
Margot, what about you? How has this, affected collaboration and creativity in terms of your work?
Well, I think that everybody is already in the work that we do specifically is advocating for diversity and underrepresented voices with Free to Work, but also with Leaf. And I think actually that these creatives already are used to being, having to hustle for their audiences and not having all the resources available. So being able to collaborate now that collaboration and being able to share your own work and rewrite the book maybe is needed for everyone. I actually think that it's not changed things. It's just made it more apparent that it's necessary. I think that collaboration has always been in a way of how we like to work. And the social aspect of that is just becoming stronger and stronger.
And you sent us through some examples of your own work and creative collaboration within your own networks. What would you like us to show right now? Because you've sent us some brilliant examples of the way that collaboration and creativity has changed for you.
Yeah, I think let's just show like a really a simple starting point is the Pandemic Film Club. It's made by Shawnee White and Leonora Lonsdale, who's a director at Leaf. I mean, all of the real craft filmmakers, they have such an incredible craft to their work, and knowing films that inspire them, themes, topics. On the first day of lockdown in the UK, they started the Pandemic Film Club. They gave it a really amazing brand, like the visual that you see. And it's became one of the biggest film sharing on Instagram ways of sharing like inspiration of what to do. I think we're very fortunate that we can spend lockdown watching films and getting inspired. And it's just a way of adapting, generating positive energy. You can't make films, but your skills are still helpful to people.
And how is
I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And how has your work with Free the Work changed? Can you tell us a bit about what Free the Work does and is, and how that's changed in terms of working collaboratively right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Free to Work, which we're a partner for, is founded by director Alma Harrell, who I represent. It's a non-profit initiative which is dedicated to expanding access for underrepresented filmmakers and creators. They showcase over 2,000 underrepresented filmmakers in 21 countries worldwide. And I think right off the bat, when the virus, because they celebrate culture and they celebrate creativity, that positive energy that they inherently have already. Like their activism is not led by complaining or pointing fingers or negativity. It's about creating a positive energy. And they've just been so brilliant. If you can follow them on their socials, their newsletters, it's sharing ways of how we can help each other, how we can still move forward, the things that we're all discussing here as well, but making sure that people are underrepresented and might not have production companies, might not have agents, have access to the same tools, including how can you support each other financially. We're not always lucky that we can continue working, and I think supporting just those that have fears about their livelihood, the instability, the uncertainty, just being able to talk about it is hugely helpful.
Yeah,
so free to work is definitely a great, it's just a great partnering crime to have.
And Vivian, if I can come to you, you work in an with an organisation. You set it up in the Netherlands, Girls in Film. Mm-hmm. Do you have similar pros and cons? Do you have similar positives and negatives about connecting and connectivity, basically through creativity?
I think it's now even more important to make sure that the underrepresented creatives and directors, and for Girls in Film, it's focusing on the Dutch female filmmakers, that they have a platform where they can be visible. Yeah. Especially lead times have become much shorter now for productions, so you need to come up with creatives and a director, within a split second, and then it's really important to have initiatives like Free to Work and Girls in Film, where it's a place where there are a lot of these filmmakers are out there, so you can reach out to them. So I think that's super interesting.
And do you folks think that it's an opportunity for diversity and inclusion these days, because so much is going on social, because people are expressing themselves on social, through an iPhone instead of a studio, there's an opportunity for women or people of colour or, and other groups that are underrepresented. Is this a big moment?
I don't think it really is a big moment, that it creates a momentum. It is, as Margot said, there are a lot of people that are, being creative on like Instagram and maybe platforms that brands are looking towards, and that could be an entry point. And what I see is that, we have to do a shoot, we want to do it here. Where can we find a director that is located in this location? That's more what's going on than that it is like a big momentum for
it's about problem solving.
Shall we have a look at your? Did we have a look at your Nike film?
No, we did not.
Apparently it's not working.
No problem.
Let's talk through it instead.
That was
the medium of contemporary dance.
Yeah, that was the with the influencer where she did a workout from her home, which I think is super interesting, and I think this will also be, because working with influencers is also a possibility to actually do something right now.
Yeah, they got a massive reach still.
Yeah.
And they were used to already producing it at home or themselves.
Being authentic.
Yeah.
Because, Margot, I think it's also interesting because I really love what you're saying about TikTok. I mean, I'm a super fan of that and the way that, audiences are creative and authentic. But to me, it's what I'm really interested is in how brands will pick that up and how will they... how will they be authentic instead of having everyone doing the same thing, and also
but that was already difficult.
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
Margot has a.
Margot,
I think it's partly our job to tell brands in no uncertain terms that they can't afford not to be anymore. Like, I think that in a way does make this pandemic a turning point in some way, that there is a big elephant in the room and you can't fake it anymore. Like everything is just wide open, and maybe we need to point it out. But I think everybody's listening, to be honest. So let's confront it. Let's use it.
Absolutely. Use the moment. We've got a question from Maxime. Please do keep sending through the chat button on Zoom. Please do keep sending your questions. We've got a question from Maxime. What is the most important thing when collaborating creatively?
Well, I think the dynamics
of BC and AC, before Corona and after.
Yeah, I think that the fundamental dynamics do not change, really. But we used to find it really important to be in the same room.
Yeah.
And now we found out that it's not that important, but it is still nice.
Yeah.
It is still nice to. We were just talking about a situation in which we're shooting a shot, and then you're talking to your agency and your client, whether they like it or not. Sometimes you read between the lines.
Yeah.
They say, yeah, it's nice. And then if I hear only, yeah, it's nice, I think, moving on.
It's nice.
And then if I had the client been there would have been so much more different information, so I would have acted on it.
So potentially you're missing the nuances by not
for surely.
sort of seeing people eye to eye.
Surely, and you have to be more directly. You have to be more vocal about things that you could massage away, maybe if you're in the room together. So I dearly hope that we're going to move back to the old situation, but with the learnings of what we've learned during the crisis.
Yeah, Vivian?
Yeah, I agree. It's I also miss looking people in the eye, and
that's the thing.
Yeah,
and also
go walking over to someone saying, "Okay."
If I walk into the studio in the morning, I want to just give everyone a hug because I'm so happy that they're here. Yeah. And now I can't. I just have to hi.
It does. I have to say, it feels extremely odd. Me, as a person who touches and hugs people, I'm quite physical, I guess. Yeah. I agree. That's really problematic because you folks came into the studio, and I'm like,
changes your relationship
for all
a little
of us.
bit.
It does change our relationships.
Yeah.
Majo, what do you miss at the moment?
I miss the surprises in the day, like it's all because you're not seeing different environments. Everything's very focused on the planning and the Zoom calls, and nothing. You don't meet people by accident, or and maybe that's what we're looking for when we're constantly on our phones looking for show me something different. Or I miss just surprises when you chat somebody without an agenda and you just run into, seeing different environments.
Yeah. You sorry, go ahead.
I agree. That's all I said.
Oh, I'm so glad. Concur. You concur. Majo, I know that you brought along quite a number of clips about the creative process and creative work that's been going on recently. Can you talk us through one of those? Which one would you like us to show?
Maybe let's show the solidarity one from Gillian Zinser, who's a director, photographer at Leaf, and she started a portrait series where she asked people to tell her how they feel.
Yeah, that's a beautiful series.
And I think the empathy that we're all building as a society right now, I think they go a long way in the future, hopefully, that this is not like a novelty anymore, that we listen and share. So this series, you can see it on her Instagram, it's at Gillian Zinser, and she's still doing them. It's a lovely snapshot. She's in New York, and I kind of want people to do it everywhere. So we create this beautiful series.
It's super beautiful.
Yeah, and it's sad also, actually. Like, it's not all it's a real snapshot. Like, some people are having a really difficult time, and I think we also mustn't forget that while we kind of talk about the importance of creativity or making ads, or there's actually a lot of tragic, really hard things happening that sometimes you tend to lose sight of. Like, this is the real deal. And if we can be helpful in any way in making people feel heard, I think that's important.
There's a question from Jack, which I'd like to share, which is, what are you looking forward to most, everybody, when we get back to normal? And are we even going to experience a normal? Can we go backwards?
Sure. Well, I don't know. I'm not a futurologist, but I do know that what I do not miss, and we already knew that what we do, advertising is not curing cancer. We already knew that. So I don't miss advertising and marketing. I miss music, and I miss my weekly dose of drum and bass, and I miss restaurants and bars.
Yeah,
that's the appreciation of things that are truly important now, like healthcare and even people stocking up the supermarkets.
Yeah,
this is a new kind of appreciation that also I've come to understand. That that I didn't even think about it really. So now I kind of do, which is a big change.
Yeah, and absolutely.
I hope that stays.
Yeah, we've all been.
Even that out. We should use our votes to kind of change the world with this learnings a little bit.
Do you think that will happen though? Because we are all, as we said, creatures of habit, and we forget very easily.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that we don't forget that we should pay our nurses a bit more when we go to the voting box. That's what I hope.
Yeah.
I'm not a specialist on that field, how people will react on the long run. But I do hope that the emotions you see when people are now talking about health workers sticks.
Yeah.
Because they were already important, but we didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
Only when you're ill.
And Vivian, what do you, in terms of creativity and in terms of collaboration and our creative community, however wide we see that, what are you looking forward to embracing once again? Is there anything specific that you just think, this is really difficult, without this I don't feel okay in my professional or private world?
Yeah, for me it is interacting with people in the flesh or in real life. I mean, I love that, the little chats to every one of the team. Hugging. And that's so inspiring. Yeah. And for me, if I have a talk with a person that had a really good day on set the day before, and he's exciting and sharing that, then that gives me a lot of energy, because I'm not on a daily basis producing and then touching base with them and seeing their excitement. That gives me energy to keep going and doing the difficult maybe conversations about budgets and stuff like that. So that I really, really miss that personally.
Yeah, and Margot, the same question for you.
Yeah, I think I most look forward to being on set, actually. My job predominantly is, of course, making films, and actually properly on set. So not a social, physical distancing set, but the ones that have cranes and huge shots and crowds, and that just make movie magic. I guess movie magic is what I miss most.
Movie magic. Yeah. So we do need that physical touch, actually, in terms of...
I'd say so.
That's, it sounds like it's a vital part of what community is and what collaboration is.
And the wholeness of communication. It's not only words. Now we're getting only words and written words and spoken words, but not a body language. Yeah. And
it's an essential dimension.
Yeah, it is. And we're really all missing that, I guess.
There's a question from Kate. Are you finding that you're inspired differently during quarantine? And where do you go to get creative or to be inspired? Vivian?
I've always loved Instagram and the TikToks of this world. So that's really where you go. And I try to read a lot of articles and books, but that hasn't really changed a lot.
Okay, so you just have maybe a bit more time to do it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Tiny bit more time.
Because I'm always a very impatient person. I want to do stuff, but now in the weekends I, cannot go anywhere. So that's when you take the time to, sit down on the terrace and actually read a book and be inspired, or a magazine.
Yeah, and the same question for you, Margot.
The question is, where do I go to get inspired?
Yeah, how do you get inspired now?
I think I'm watching a lot of films. I'm really enjoying revisiting old ones and taking the time watching ones that maybe otherwise I'd have to skip or just not have the time to watch, really. I'm really enjoying Mubi, kind of the odd curation of it, festivals, because they've all opened up. So a lot of festivals now show the works selected online, which is absolutely brilliant. And it's another thing that I hope they will remain hybrid after the pandemic, post-corona as well. This new way of distributing art, and there's no more gatekeepers. There's no more somebody saying what you can and can't see. So I have access to everything. The Paris Opera put their whole shows
Beautiful
online,
piece of
so I
work.
can exactly. I mean, I don't have to go to I'd love to go to Paris and watch it in person, but actually this is so much more democratic, and the fact that I can just log on and see Swan Lake on
so many
Tuesday
theatres
afternoon
and
incredible.
operas are doing the same thing. I'm loving that as well.
And I really hope that there will be like a new business model coming out of
this
it for them,
be
because
my next question is what's next for business.
Yeah, because this is super difficult for art and entertainment. And I hope that now it's like, okay, you open it up, but can there be a model that you will have people paying for it in another way? Or
imagine the speed at which that's developing now.
Yeah,
that's huge. That's unprecedented.
Yeah.
So what would be your advice or your wish going forwards? I'd love to get one last comment about that from everybody before we sign off. We're running swiftly out of time. But what would be your wish for, how business is going to work, or how community is going to work, or how creativity, is going to move forwards? What would be your wish or your perception right now? Olaf, maybe I can come to you first.
I think in terms of communication from brands, you see in this time that they're all sticking to their core. They're searching for what they actually mean in society. So they're not only talking short term, they're thinking long term. What is the actual value of the brand in society? That comes clear in this time. Let's hope brands stick to that, because that makes it much more better consumable marketing. And for society, I just hope that we remember this time and get inspired to make the right choice when we're voting.
Yeah, that's a really brilliant point. Vivian?
Yeah, I think it's a difficult question.
There's no right or wrong answers, that's for sure.
No, that's for sure. I just hope that that with advertising and marketing, that we will think about what can we do, and that possibilities, and being more open to new and creative ideas and new and creative makers, instead of sticking to what has worked in the past. So that's really what I hope. So that I'll really hope that brands will look towards social media, and not as a starting point, instead of as the last, if we have some budget left, we're going to do something for that. So that's really what I hope. Yeah, and personally, I feel that I'm living more in the now, and I think I would love to stay a little bit more in the now than in the future and rushing and looking what's outside instead of where I am. So that's it for me.
And the most, I'm going to ask another question. I said that was a wrap up, but I want to know more. Your adaptation right now, how will you prolong that? How does that work? For example, in business, how do you put what you're learning into further practice?
Well, I've been working in digital for 20 years and trying to be, innovating the way that brands connect with audiences, and, stepping in the front line and making myself heard. And I think I will keep on doing that, and, just saying to people, why aren't, that they're going back to what they used to do. So that's basically who I am and how I work and what I have been doing.
And that includes pushing back on clients and talking with clients, the brands,
also,
in terms of how we work colleagues, in TV production, in film production.
Yeah. absolutely.
And Margot, what about you? What do you wish for going forwards, whether it's personally or professionally?
Yeah, professionally, and that's also personally, I hope for just natural diversity, for it to no longer be seen as a trade-off, for excellence, for all voices to be heard equally. It's really important to me, and I think that this really hard time is going to shake loose some old bad habits, and what replaces them is up to us. So I hope to shape what replaces that dialogue, and for that new way of working to just be natural, for it not to be a fight anymore, for it to be the new normal.
Yeah. I said I was wrapping up. I'm going to ask a few questions because we're getting questions coming in. So please keep sending them and I will try and fit them all in. One from Peter. What's gone wrong?
What's gone wrong? Well,
have there been any major mistakes or slip-ups or accidents or...
Yes. Well, I've bumped into people.
Olaf.
No,
You're
when
even
I walk
blushing.
around a corner of the studio, and then all of a sudden you bump into someone that you didn't see coming.
Yeah.
And then I take that moonwalk backwards, and then, oh, fuck, I was closer than 6 feet. That has gone wrong.
And then you go and have a shower in bleach.
Yes, exactly. And then come back to set.
Okay, got it.
No, and we had we underestimated one of the tasks in one of the shoots. So we had to come back the next day because we were understaffed. And we basically fucked up. We made it up the next day, so no big problem.
So
but
that's
we
a hit
underestimated
for you as
the
a
job.
Business.
Come again?
That's a hit for you as a business.
Well, it
rather
is
than on the client.
That is well, it's just bad. It's just we didn't estimate this to not succeed, and we ended up not making the shot. We had to come back the next day. Just a technological thing, and it had a lot to do with the manpower on set.
Right, okay.
Because we would be with 10, now we were with 5. That's what you get. So things do go wrong, but we learn from it and we move on.
Yeah, and it's, over-promising because you really would like to do a job. And it's like, okay, but we need it by then. Okay, but then, you know that it will be like, can you do it? And
you're going to say, yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
I guess we're all going through that. You know, I'm certainly working within an industry where you want to make it happen. You want to please, you know, you want to solve it. And as producers, you know, you're all like-minded. Yeah. And, you know, we're all want to over-deliver and under-promise, but actually this new way of working right now, we're all standing on quicksand. We're all having problems knowing what our daily or weekly or monthly, you know, focus is and what changes are coming. Yeah. That you can't help but make mistakes. I think that's where community comes in, that we have to support each other and understand that we're all in a process of change.
Which is also what happens.
Yeah.
The agency and your client are going to say, sure, this happens. Yeah. Nobody could see this, foresee this.
Yeah. Margot, what's your impression? What's your thoughts on that?
I think there is no wrong almost, like that, exactly that last thing you say about like having an understanding and a respect for the situation just being unprecedented. Like nobody can foresee exactly what tomorrow's rules are or how people respond. People could get sick, and you know, it's solidarity, empathy, understanding that there is no failing. I don't think you failed when you said you didn't get the shot. I think it's a shared responsibility for everyone. When I've got several productions in production, luckily at the moment, and I say to all my clients, this is what I aim for, but there has to be some flexibility. You just have to understand we just do the best we can.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the relationship between clients and agency production company, it's changed. I mean, it's more humanized, so to say, because you're talking to clients and they're in their kitchen. And we were doing a shoot in South Africa, but then we decided halfway, okay, we're going to stop. We're going to fly everyone back to Amsterdam. It is not safe anymore. And then the client was there. And the relationship that you get with the client, it's on a totally different level. And I really hope that, you know, that interhuman connection that it's different than before that.
It's certainly an interesting situation to be in when we're talking to people through Zoom, for example, and we're all professionally dressed up to here, and we're all in our house pants and slippers, from belly button down, basically.
It is. Yeah, what we do in our weekly, or we have 3 times a week, we do a Zoom call with the whole office, and then we point out one of the people that's going to do a little talk for like 5 minutes about a subject that matters to them. And people come up with the weirdest stuff, and we get to know people in a very different way. Yeah. So that's gorgeous. That's really nice. You get to know things that you never would have known.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that.
Yeah, it's super nice.
And Margot, what about you? How does it, for example, the community Girls in Film, that's Vivian, the community Free the Work. How, what's changed for the better with, that community, and what potentially has gone wrong for people?
Changed yet? I think everybody's connecting. It's a, like you say, it's a community, right? So connecting is already its main purpose, to connect clients with creators and to help each other. So that it just becomes really visible that that's so needed and so helpful. So it's almost like, oh, thank God that was set up before, and now just is fully functional. You can log on and you can talk to others and ask for help. How do you do stuff? And so just the fact that it's there is brilliant, and it shows its purpose.
Yeah,
and that's for Girls in Film. We were having these informal meetings, but not like an official community. But we're starting that up now, also, to make that sure that they're visible, they can be found, and we can find each other, and that's super important.
And I think both sides of that coin are important, that folks can find each other. This is, I think, during these periods, unprecedented as they are, it's important that we have community and that we have support. And actually, the creative community that we all work in needs to support each other. We need to be there for each other. And I think that's hugely important. There's a question from Rikje, which is specific about the Dutch industry. Rikje says, do you think this is an opportunity for the Dutch creative industry? Because we're so used to working in a pragmatic way already, compared to potentially other countries that are used to working with bigger budgets with less need to work pragmatically?
Well, we're showing that we can still do a lot. On all sides. So this could be an opportunity, because now we can still shoot and many other countries around us cannot. So that in that sense, it is an opportunity. It does feel a bit awkward to really make use of the opportunity, right? But I don't know. We're all in kind of friendly competition, fierce but friendly competition. But with the countries
business,
around
let's
us.
face it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I see. Even though we're pragmatic and may not have the big budgets as international brands may have, we still are so focused on this 1 30-second TVC.
Yeah,
we can be much more clever creatively, and integrating creative process with production process to actually have that fit for format approach, and that's opportunity.
Absolutely.
That's been out the window for a while.
And Margot, you've got some examples, haven't you, of how people have pivoted from being very sort of pragmatic and into a more creative, a differently accessed creative space. Is there anything in particular you'd like to share with us?
Are you referring to the clip from the choreography?
That is a beautiful piece of work. Should we take a look at that?
It might be. I think basically, I think just before we start talking about this, I can't quite remember, but I wanted to dive in with this clip because showing how people can work together differently, and how having a community is so valuable to have that created. So this specific music video was made right in the first week of lockdown. There was an idea that the music video had to to be made. And the director is a big, she does a lot of dance films. And it was made together with like the best dancers around the world. And they each were directed and choreographed from a distance.
And this is just a clip, of course. But if people access online the whole thing, it's stunning.
Yeah, it's on our site. It's by Adi Halfan, and it's called Earth Odyssey. But the way it edits together seamlessly, it's such a skill, and the way that community came together to make it's just so inspiring. And to have friends that you can call and say, okay, we're going to make this. Film yourself. Do it again, until it's right with the editing. I love that.
Yeah.
It was truly a team effort.
Okay, this beautiful piece of work. We need to wrap up. I'd love to hear from each of you. Just one comment in terms of, very quickly, what's next, or what are you looking forward to next?
Well,
something positive.
Looking forward to keeping my company afloat.
Yeah, I hear you. Right back at you.
I'm looking forward to being in one room with my 55
and touching all of them physically.
Yeah.
Appropriate.
Hugging all of them.
But touching all of them physically. And Margot, you.
I'm looking forward for Leaf to Grow to have 55 people in the room.
That is a brilliant opportunity. I wish you all the success in the world. Folks, we have to wrap up. Thank you so much for joining us online. Thank you for the questions that you sent in. I didn't manage to get to all of them. I'd like to thank Pakhuis, you folks for tuning in. And of course, Olaf, Vivian and Margot. Our next Together Apart session is in 2 weeks, and we'll be talking about performing arts. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.